Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kira Show here, and this is the 1K special. Thank you everyone who has subscribed and who has actually stuck around my channel to see my what ifs. It is crazy because I basically started doing YouTube as something I just saw as for fun, and I really got so into the stories that sometimes I would just rapidly upload more and more videos of the day. Eventually, it got to the point where I hit my first 100, I was very impressed, then I just kept hitting milestone after milestone. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed, and to everyone who has stuck around. Now, this is not only a special day for me, but Katsumi, the Sin of Lust, today is his birthday. So whenever he posts a video today, or if he does not, at least tell him happy birthday, guys, because this is a special day for me, and it's his special day. So, please go wish him a happy birthday. If you're watching this, man, happy birthday to you. Now, let's begin. Around 4000 BC, so before man, or before Christ. Actually, yeah, let's go around to the Jurassic era, so 65 million years ago. That's even further. This is whenever cavemen and dinosaurs still roam the earth. Now, the human body, evolution's a very crazy thing. The way evolution works is certain genes are passed down for that generation. But if those genes if I was born with a gene that gave me a third hand, if I was essentially able to use it in a survival situation and make it out of there alive, I would be able to pass that gene down. Basically making it to where eventually there would be people who would always have 3 hands, if not 3 arms, or 4 arms. Or if I had the ability to basically increase my senses, do anything crazy like that, and I was able to survive, I'd be able to pass down that gene to the point where it would be a very common thing for people, eventually in humanity. So, this is going to be where I bring in the conduit gene. Now, what I mean by bring it in is there's going to be a person born with a conduit gene. The way this is going to work is they are going to be the first conduit. However, since they don't have any of that advanced stuff around, I am only going to be giving them the ability to essentially adapt and evolve faster. Basically helping speed up the human evolution. Now, what I mean by speeding it up, basically, instead of it taking millions and millions of years for humans to become us, how we currently are, it would take only a few generations to create Homo sapiens. Like, I believe 17 to 18, which is quite a lot still. But this will help humans essentially get a little bit of a leg up and survive. Now then, let us cut to about... My Hero Academia does not have a present day, so let's just say... Let us cut to... Izuku Midoriya being born. That's better. Now, Deku is born, and he would be found that he may not have a quirk, as kids are born with their quirks, but they will still manifest them. Now, he is born this way because they just think, oh, if that's true, he might get the conduit gene. So the doctors aren't really worried, but they still are kind of unsure about it. Now, eventually humanity, they did evolve to the point where some people did not need this gene, so it was not very prevalent. It wasn't there for a while. But after a quirk was born, it brought back the ability to use this gene, essentially pulling it forward. It's basically like It's basically like, imagine a quirk that could make a zombie virus. Just you being around, or your blood, your saliva, any of your bodily fluids being around, it could eventually infect somebody. But let's just say that since this hero didn't really think about it, they just evolved and adapted faster. That's what they thought their gene was, or their quirk was. Until they got found out that this was not a different form of, quirk, it was a different genome. Basically allowing there to be hybrids. People with a conduit gene and the quirk gene. These two somewhat piggybacking off each other, if not mirroring and mimicking one another. Now, because of that, basically people will be having hybrid quirks, if not the conduit genes. They will have one or the other. Now, after that, let's say that hero existed during All For One's time. So eventually it got passed down, and more conduits were. Now, because of the conduits awakening and doing all that, this essentially led to people being able to learn more about their quirks, as they like to call them. They still diagnose them as a quirk because it's essentially being infected with a different strain of the quirk virus. Now, for those of you who do not read the manga, it's pretty self-explanatory what the quirk virus is. But let's just say that since this gene reappeared with a quirk virus, that's how they piggyback off one another. Basically allowing you to be infected with the gene and manifest a quirk. Now this basically would mean most of humanity is not quirkless. So that makes 90% of humanity have quirks, if not have the conduit gene. Or at least be a dormant carrier, since it is more prevalent now. Now then. Deku, let us cut to him being about 4 years old, when he goes to the quirk doctor. He is told that he essentially is not showing signs of a quirk yet, but he should be manifesting it soon. As there being conduits and quirks, kids usually have to come in for routine checkups because conduits are somewhat dangerous with the way they manifest. They could either manifest very, very violently like quirklets, or they can manifest very, very calmly. Now then, Deku would go back to school, and he would just say that he kind of doesn't have his quirk yet or his conduit, but he'll figure it out soon, as he's not really worried. The chances of him being quirkless are 1 in a million, right? Right? Cuts to canon. Anyways, I know I probably just made someone laugh their ass off right there. Anyways, Bakugo would just show off that, hey, I have a quirk. Not only that, I think I have a conduit. Bakugo is really happy and he's really impressed as he's showing off his explosions. And people are really happy, but they're asking him, wait, so what is your conduit? I'm not really sure, but... Now, this is whenever Bakugo would immediately get cut off by Deku saying that that's really impressive and it's really cool, but explosions, that's kind of dangerous, right? Bakugo would get annoyed as he would just say that that's not true. Explosions can be awesome and cool. Alright, Bakugo. As Deku goes to walk forward, let's say that Bakugo's explosions were a bit stronger, so they do have some lingering smoke. As soon as that happens, Deku goes to walk through as the bell rings, but as soon as he moves forward, he somewhat trips. He puts his hands out and he immediately just smoke dashes. Now, as soon as that happens, Deku, he immediately falls over and he's on the ground on his hands and knees. He's confused and he's trying to figure this out. As he brings his hands up and looks at them, they're covered in smoking. As he's doing this, everyone turns and people are talking. People are saying that Deku awakened his quirk, Deku awakened his quirk. And as they're saying this, Deku goes to stand up on his legs, but he immediately just dashes backwards into a tree. As soon as that happens, he keeps doing this, and it actually gets to the point where he turns into 3 little balls of smoke and go behind the tree, actually confusing and stumbling around. People are watching at this and they're laughing as Bakugo just says that that's not funny, Deku. You need to stop. Deku would just say he can't as he somewhat boosted up into the air and he's really confused. As he sees his hands in front of him as he's falling, he immediately just thinks, not good, not good. As he comes to the ground, he hits it, turning into a giant thing of smoke. As soon as that happens, people are concerned, and the teachers come running out, asking what happened. As they would say, Deku awakened his quirk, and Deku would immediately just pull himself back together, actually confused and kind of scared. As he brings his hands up, he immediately just essentially turns it on and absorbs all the smoke, actually healing all the scrapes and all the bruises that he had. As soon as the teachers saw this, they are immediately thinking, he's a conduit. Bakugo would hear this and he just thinks, wait, Deku's a conduit? Aw, man. I thought I'd be a conduit, or at least a hybrid. Well, Bakugo, there's a difference between hybrids and conduits. What do you mean? Well, hybrids, they're essentially born with strong quirks, as we call them. They can have these powers, but they are immune to certain effects. As Deku is still somewhat trying to figure this out, he's essentially able to at least keep himself together. He would go to the quirk doctor and find that his quirk, or conduit, as they kind of need to start diagnosing them as, is essentially called smoke, or at least mist, as they like to call it. Along with the fact that diagnosing and figuring out what a conduit does is somewhat simple. It's just things may not go as planned, as there are more powerful conduits in the world. Now, as he's thinking this, he would also just tell Deku that your conduit is a very special one, as you essentially may be very powerful. In fact, he heard that you absorb smoke. You may be a very strong rescue hero one day. As Deku immediately just says, if that's true, then he could have helped All Might in that one video. You're a very silly lad, but yes, you could have. As Deku immediately holds his hand up, it's immediately coursing with smoke, as he also immediately accidentally drains the video from the man's computer. The man turns back to his computer, going to actually put in what happened, but his screen is blank. He's trying to figure out what happened exactly to the video, and he just sees Deku's hand coursing with code. Now that's very weird to him. As Deku, he looks down at his hand, he's thinking, wait, that's, huh? Okay, as Deku just is told that, boy, put your hand back on the computer. Deku immediately touches the computer again and immediately just puts the code back, returning the video. As he is asked if he can try doing that again. And let's say that there's at least like a fire hero that's there, at least works with them, because I feel like they did not want to use their quirk to be a hero, if not at least wasn't very strong. So they all walked outside, and Deku was told to at least try testing it out on this old computer that they were going to throw away, or at least just sell off. And the guy would actually walk over, put some papers in a trash can, and actually light it with his finger. He would do so, and Deku would actually walk over, as he is told to essentially drain the video and drain the smoke. Deku tries draining the smoke, but it immediately hurts his hand as he's thinking, why can't he use that? Or why can't he use smoke? As he immediately just brings his hand up on the computer, he drains all the power and takes the video. This is really cool to him, as he's now thinking that, this is somewhat weird. Now, as he's actually thinking this, that this seems embarrassing, I can't even use the smoke ability. He just starts hiding his face as he immediately vanishes. As he vanishes, people are actually talking and Deku brings his hands down. As he opens his eyes, he realizes he can't even see his hands. He brings them up to his face and is actually very confused. He starts talking and this kind of concerns people. Wait, so, smoke, video, and invisibility? No, wait. As Deku immediately reappears, they see that he's still using the video power. As he immediately just thinks, okay, so he's sort of like a sponge, kind of. Or at least absorption. As Deku, he immediately just thinks, okay, he is going to have to train this. Now, as soon as he's thinking this, he accidentally reabsorbs the smoke, essentially changing his power, or swapping it out. As he does so, he tries to use the video again, but this time it does not work. Now then, this actually is kind of concerning, as the man then would proceed to turn to Inko, asking exactly what are your guys' quirks or conduits. Oh, well, you see, my quirk is telekinesis and my husband's quirk is, conduit, I believe. It's a bit different. Well, what do you mean? His conduits kind of just, I guess, okay. This is going to sound weird, but he basically somewhat has the quirk gene. It's kind of like adaptation. I see. So this is kind of his version of adaptation. I believe so. I'm sorry. What was your name again, or your last name again? Midoriya. So your husband is the number. If I remember this morning in the paper, his quirk is not quirk, conduit. I'm sorry. Still trying to get used to this. Let's say that it's a young doctor. That's why, because I'm confusing myself. That he would say that it makes sense now. In fact, it's very impressive. So, his quirk and his ranking. As he immediately pulls out his phone, he would find that Inko's husband is actually the number 3 hero, making it in front of Best Jeanist. Now, this is whenever Deku, he would actually be somewhat concerned, as he is now just smoke dashing and doing all this crazy stuff around. While doing that, he actually immediately just smoke dashes up into the air, and he starts falling once again, but this time he was ready for it. As he's now trying to focus, and he brings his hands down, actually slowing his descent. If not finding a simple way to fly. Now, as that happens, this is when Deku, he's quite simply asking, so exactly what is my conduit then? Well, you see, boy, it's a bit tricky. I do believe it might be a double conduit. A double conduit? Well, yes. It's like a half and half quirk, except it's one. So, I do believe that your conduit is somewhat of a double sponge, if not absorption. You may actually be able to absorb different things. It's pretty weird. Okay, well, then what else could I do? I'm not really sure. This actually might be very tricky for you to even find out, boy. Alright, well, I'll at least train it and become the #1 hero one day. As he would say that All Might be a hero, but he is not his favorite. As Deku and Inko would walk home, and Deku would see his dad, Hisashi. Blech, Hisashi. That immediately just twisted my tongue. Now, that is where I'm going to be leaving this part off, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video. And I am actually trying to figure out more and more of the story that I want to do for this one. Because this is the craziest what if I think I have planned. If not somewhat planned. Now, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys later.